really didn't know what to, what to expect.
You lie about your background.
I mean, that's all old news. I didn't lie about
But
nothing.
I haven't.
What you do early on that kept you financially stable and now financially flourishing at this point in your life?
So what I did was find another passion.
All my dreams that I thought were dreams turned out to be nightmares. And I figured out the biggest value and purpose in life is that it has nothing to do with money or buying all these. I was young, manipulated, and I was a puppet.
Welcome to the channel. Hit that like button and smash subscribe, because what's coming out now is wild. Let's dive into something that's been boiling in the shadows of the hip-hop world for years, and now it's finally exploding. We're talking about two of the biggest names in the game, Jay-Z and Diddy. These guys are more than just moguls. They've been sitting at the top for decades. But behind all that glitz, the private jets and champagne parties, there's a dark cloud that won't go away. And now, out of nowhere, Vanilla Ice, yeah, that Vanilla Ice is stepping up to talk. And what he's saying, it's got everybody stunned. He's making some serious noise, claiming both Jay-Z and Diddy didn't just rise to power on talent and hustle, but also by taking advantage of young, hungry artists. According to him, these two weren't just signing deals. They were allegedly pulling strings in a system that used fresh talent, drained them, and then tossed them aside. We're not just talking about bad contracts. Vanilla Ice is hinting at a whole setup designed to control and crush rising stars. We're about to break down exactly what Vanilla Ice is spilling, the claims, the history behind them, and the real questions nobody's been brave enough to ask. This ain't just about music. It's about power, shady deals, and what really goes down when the cameras stop rolling in the rap world. For the longest time, people just figured Vanilla Ice vanished because he was a one-hit wonder. Like, he had that one banger, made his money, and dipped. But according to him, that's not even close to the truth. Ice is now revealing that he didn't just disappear. He escaped from something dark. He says there were powerful people behind the scenes.
Proposed to me. I mean, things were going so crazy and fast, man. I was just like, what? I thought the guy was supposed to do that. What do you mean? Wait a minute. This is too fast. I'm just getting started here, and I'm way too young for this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was crazy. The more I think about it, the more crazy.
Big name execs trying to pull him into something real twisted. We're talking those whispered about secret society rituals and strange behind closed doors dealings. And get this, Ice says when they tried to bring him in, he straight up refused. Nah, I'm not doing that. That's what he basically told them. And then walked away from the spotlight, the cash, and the whole scene. But it wasn't just a clean break. Ice claims things got real scary after that. He started noticing weird stuff happening around him, like someone didn't want him talking. He's making it sound like the second he said no, the game turned against him. So how did Vanilla Ice manage to dodge the same trap that's taken down so many other artists? Did he really come that close to being sacrificed by the industry machine? Let's break down how he pulled off one of the slickest escapes from the darkest corners of the music game, and why walking away might have been the real power move that saved his life. And now the question on everyone's mind, could heavyweights like Diddy and Jay-Z, both known for their insane influence and behind-the-scenes reach, have been tangled up in this mess somehow? Back in 1990, Vanilla Ice didn't just show up, he exploded into the scene, young, wild, and sure he was about to take over the game.
Happens is, in order for that artist to be in position to even mislead the people, they have to be worthy. This is hazing. This is the hazing aspect of it. In order to climb the ladder in the music industry, you have to be hazed. And when you're getting hazed, you're getting in your ass.
You say like basically
this homosexual ritual.
Ice Ice Baby wasn't just a hit, it was a straight up movement. He was packing arenas, front cover of every major mag, and living the superstar life like it was second nature. He had that untouchable energy, raw, loud, and larger than life. It felt like he was just getting warmed up. He was building his empire brick by brick. But then, out of nowhere, the whole vibe flipped. Ice now says that right after his massive blow-up, he was suddenly hit with the dark reality of the music world. Like the fame came with a price nobody warned him about. Vanilla Ice is saying the real power players, the ones who call the shots, control the cash, and run the industry from behind closed doors, started making some creepy moves on him. He says they tried to lure him into something way more sinister than just business. We're talking about the stuff people whisper about but never really say out loud. dark rituals, twisted agendas, and that whole sell your soul type narrative that's haunted the entertainment world for years. It's the kind of thing that makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about fame. Picture it. You're on top of the world, the crowd screaming your name, the money's rolling in, and then out of nowhere, you're told there's a catch, a real dark one. According to Ice, he was faced with a straight-up nightmare decision. Either get with the program, do what they say, bend your morals and lose a piece of who you are, or walk away from all of it. No safety net, no second chances. He says he was right at the edge of superstardom when he saw the price tag, and it wasn't money, it was his soul. And for him, that was too much to pay. Vanilla Ice was on fire, young, chart-topping, and had the whole game in the palm of his hand. But just when he was hitting his peak, the industry's most powerful names started showing up. And not just anybody. We're talking Jay-Z and Diddy, two of the most influential moguls in music history. These guys weren't just offering connections, they were offering access. They allegedly came in with big promises, mentorship, protection, and a guaranteed spot at the top of the game. More fame, more money, more control, everything a rising star would kill for.
This is a quote that you said in one of your interviews. You said, at one point in my life, I didn't even know who I was, what my purpose was. I didn't want to live anymore. With hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank, I didn't give a shit about life. Who I am today is a complete flip the script opposite of that, and just super grateful, man, for my family, for my kids. And that's the meaning of life, man, the true meaning of life.
100%. We can go around as a young person in this globe and see life in a different way.
But Ice says he wasn't falling for it. According to him, something didn't sit right. He'd been paying attention and watching how some of these industry leaders moved. He saw how other young talents, full of passion and vision, ended up lost in the system. Careers that once had fire, suddenly frozen. Artistic freedom, gone. Dreams, twisted and torn apart. And behind the scenes, Ice says there were situations involving pressure, control, and messed up behavior targeting younger, vulnerable artists. He's not dropping all the details, but he's clearly hinting that some serious exploitation was happening, and he wanted no part of it.
And then you know what happens is, I shook this whole globe up, you know, like a snow globe. I shook it up. And you think reality is what you see in front of you, and then the snow globe kind of settles a little bit, and then you find out that none of it was real. It was all artificial. It's all just entertainment world. It's all on how people view you, even you. And you find your purpose, you find out who you are. And I didn't know who I was. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I know Justin Bieber could definitely use some advice. Yeah. Lost.
Vanilla Ice says he started seeing the pattern real clear. Control, manipulation, and artists losing their realness. He felt like these young stars were getting shaped into something fake, like their true spark was being snuffed out for the sake of image and money. Even with that massive opportunity dangling in front of him, Ice says he made a bold decision. He walked away. Straight up turned his back on the game they were trying to pull him into. He didn't want to be some puppet in a bigger plan, moving how they wanted him to move. He wasn't willing to trade in his freedom or his creative voice just to stay famous. Ice trusted his gut, and his gut told him that no amount of cash or spotlight was worth losing who he really was. He saw the trap and ducked it. He chose to walk a harder path, knowing it might kill his career, but to him, keeping his soul intact meant more than any #1 hit. It was risky, no doubt, but he felt it was the only way to survive with his integrity still intact.
Because with all the success, nobody that, especially with what happened to me, 10 times even bigger than Bieber, because, or anybody, because of being me and white and who I am. And at the time, it was something far more impactful, if that makes any sense, for people to hate on or take a punch at or anything, right? So it was a groundbreaking thing that really was, and probably could have killed me in many, many ways. Not just the Suge Knight way but way, to the point where all my dreams that I thought were dreams turned out to be nightmares.
And that's what fans really respected about Vanilla Ice. He stood his ground. One fan even said, walked away from the industry with his man card intact. Respect and congrats. But here's the twist. Diddy and Jay-Z weren't the first ones trying to reel him in. The story starts way before that. When Ice Ice Baby blew up, it didn't just make Ice a superstar, it put him right in the crosshairs of the industry's elite. Suddenly, big-time execs were watching him closely. One name that keeps popping up, Charles Koppelman, a major figure in the music biz. with deep ties to Clive Davis, who, by the way, was a known mentor to Diddy. And once those connections came into play, the whispers started getting louder. Rumors began flying that these execs weren't just trying to make money off Ice. They allegedly saw him as someone they could mold, someone they could guide down a darker path. According to the streets, Ice was being slowly pushed toward the same shady circles and rituals that would later get tied to Diddy and others. But here's the kicker. Ice wasn't clueless. He saw what was happening. He was paying attention, and he wasn't about to let himself become just another name on the list of controlled artists. Vanilla Ice says he saw through the glitz, past the fake smiles and flashy offers, and realized a trap was being set. Before they could pull him in too deep, before the hooks were in, he made a move that shocked everyone. He backed out, cold, disappeared from the spotlight, and stepped away from the entire industry.
Arsenio Hall show, at first I was a fan, you know.
Well, what you gonna do?
And then I became definitely not a fan of the show, especially after I did the show.
Call me Vanilla Ice.
In all fairness to my audience, when you talk about Vanilla Ice, I was mad at Vanilla Ice before the interview started.
Thank you.
You have been embroiled in a lot of controversy. The press has been really hard on you lately, saying that
One fan even posted, "I remember back in the day, we were too cool for school for Vanilla Ice." But the irony is, he's the only real man with the actual guts to not sell out to the dark side of the music industry. That's a real one, real talent. But don't get it twisted. Walking away wasn't smooth. It wasn't like turning off a switch. Ice says his exit came with serious consequences. Behind the fame and the flashing lights, there were moments where he genuinely feared for his life. He thought he might not make it out. He's implying that once you turn your back on the ones with power, they don't just let you walk. You become a problem, and problems get handled. Vanilla Ice had to move through a minefield just to get free. According to him, the closer you get to the truth behind that curtain, the more dangerous things get.
you lie about your background.
I mean, that's all old news. I didn't lie about
But
nothing.
I haven't interviewed you, so it's new news for my audience. So let's get into it.
All right. I thought he was a little hard on him. He was venomous.
I've heard stories about me lying about where I came from and everything, and I never lied. Let me just tell you, when the record company creates all this stuff, bios around you, and, you know, they have your own publicists and everything, they create this image, okay? This image. And it's easy to hate on that image because it's a novelty act image, you know? I was kind of thrown into this new kids with snot category.
1 second, he was just a hungry rapper out of Texas. The next, he was living in a world where the stakes were life or death. 1 minute, he was just a local name. The next, Vanilla Ice was a global phenomenon. But behind that fame was a machine moving at full speed, pushing him in every direction. He wasn't just making music, he was being controlled. His image, his sound, even his day-to-day life was being managed like a product on a shelf. The pressure, insane. The power players had their hands in everything, and it got so deep that even something as personal as marriage didn't feel real anymore. Ice says he saw how relationships were crafted in that world, built for headlines, photo ops, and fake fairy tales, not love. He started to realize that bringing someone into his life meant exposing them to the same dark circus, and that scared him. The control, the manipulation, it wasn't just business. It crept into every corner of his personal life. Even genuine connections felt risky. So when he was on top, when Ice Ice Baby had taken over the world, he made a decision that stunned everyone. He turned down mentorship offers from the most powerful names in the industry: Diddy, Clive Davis, Jay-Z, all of them. He walked away from what every artist dreamed of, and that choice made waves fast. Just let that sink in for a second. These were the biggest power players in the industry, the type of guys who could turn any artist into a global superstar with just a cosign. And Vanilla Ice? He basically told them, appreciate it, but I'm good. That's unheard of. These weren't men who were used to hearing no. They were used to artists begging for a shot, lining up to tap into their influence, desperate to be part of the elite circle. So when Ice gave them the cold shoulder, word is, they didn't take it lightly. Not at all. Behind the scenes, insiders say they were furious. Their pride took a hit, and in that world, bruised egos come with serious consequences. In the brutal game of the music biz, turning your back on the gatekeepers is like signing your own career's death warrant. What followed, according to the whispers, wasn't loud, but it was deadly. A quiet war, a behind-the-scenes campaign to shut him down. No open threats, no press statements, just a series of slick, calculated moves meant to cut off his momentum. Slowly but surely, they started making it hard for Ice to move. And one of their sharpest weapons, targeting his rep in the hip-hop scene, they allegedly started stirring things up, questioning his authenticity, trashing his credibility, and spreading the word that he was just some commercial act trying to cash in on the culture. Suddenly, the streets didn't trust him, and that was exactly the point. All that behind-the-scenes sabotage created a hostile atmosphere for Vanilla Ice. The respect, gone. The trust from other artists and fans, crumbling fast. It felt like the industry was tearing down everything he'd built, brick by brick, making sure he couldn't plant real roots in the hip-hop world. The message was loud and clear. You don't reject the power structure and just walk away untouched. But here's the thing, Ice didn't fold. He didn't crawl back or beg for acceptance. He wasn't out here chasing shortcuts or clout from big names like Jay-Z or Diddy. He made it known.
I got stabbed 5 times, got my main artery right here in my leg. I almost died. You only have 8 pints of blood, I lost 4.
Damn.
And it was in my friend's seat for 3 months after. It still didn't even dry up. Like he had this sponge seat, you know, underneath it. And it was in the seat when he took me to the hospital. My buddy Phil took me to the hospital. It was his fight. It wasn't even my fight. I didn't even know who this guy was. I was his passenger. And he's in the front yard of some dude's house. And he goes up and the dude comes out in his trench coat. And Phil runs like a...
If he was gonna earn anything, it was gonna be through sweat, grind, and his own vision. Instead of playing their game, Ice threw himself into what he loved, the dance scene that had inspired him from the start. He got obsessed with the raw energy of the 80s, the moves, the culture, the street-level art of it all. Movies like Breaking and Beat Street lit a fire in him. In one interview, Ice said, "I can't tell you how many sleepless nights I'd stay up and mimic the moves from Breaking and Beat Street, watching them dance with the broom, the fishing line, doing the robot, and then I'd throw in my own twist." He wasn't just about rhymes. He was about movement, rhythm, and expression. And that's what kept him going when the whole industry was trying to shut the door on him.
Turns into the biggest in the world and runs. And I'm standing there and I'm like, what the that shit? The dude was coming at him and he turns around and ran.
Huh.
This is my big Phil, man, the big dude. And the guy came at me. He goes, "You want some of this mother?" I go, "I don't even know who you are. I don't know what this is, bro. What's going on?" This mother just standing there and he's yuck. Next thing I know, I turn around, I choke the dude. He's just a skinny dude, a little guy. And that's why I couldn't understand why Phil ran. I didn't see the knife. He ran because he had a knife.
Vanilla Ice had one mindset: prove yourself, no matter what. No handouts, no pity, just hustle. He ended up forming his own dance crew and grinding for every dollar. He'd hit local malls, spinning on his head, beatboxing, freestyling, all for about $40 a day. But to him, that 40 felt richer than any industry deal. In a 2013 GQ interview, he said, "I used to spin on my head at the mall and make $40 a day, and it was more than my rich friends could get for allowance." That right there showed how deep his hustle ran. His background, far from glamorous. Ice dropped out of high school, never knew his real father, and grew up watching his mom go through multiple marriages. It was a lower middle class grind, with him bouncing between random low-paying jobs while chasing his dream on pure determination. He was, in his own words, the only white kid trying to prove himself in a mostly black scene. That meant he had to go twice as hard to get even half the respect, and he never backed down. Even when the whispers started, rumors flying that Jay-Z and Diddy were allegedly trying to throw dirt on his name, blackball him behind closed doors, Ice didn't flinch. He wasn't scared of their power plays. He didn't lose focus. All he cared about was earning his spot. He was finally starting to feel the payoff. The grind, the sweat, the rejection, it was all turning into something real. All those late nights spinning on his head, all the mall gigs and sweat-drenched sessions, it finally started paying off. Vanilla Ice wasn't just chasing hip-hop anymore, he was living it. He'd fully locked into the local scene, soaking up the vibe, mastering his flow, sharpening his style with every performance.
And Phil comes back after the dude's laughing. I beat the dude. He saw me. Phil, 2 houses down in front yard looking at me. I'm fighting this dude. Didn't even know he was stabbing me. And I'm choking him, and I choked him out. Did one of those old UFC moves. I put him on the ground. I just choked him out. I'm punching him in the face. I beat his ass. Skinny little dude. He was easy to beat up. I let him go. He's out, and I get up, and he's still on the ground, and he's laughing at me. I'm like, why are you laughing, dude? I just beat your ass. And I go to, I'm exhausted. So I put my hands like this.
Then came the moment that changed everything, and it hit out of nowhere. One night, a friend dared him to grab the mic at an open mic night at Club City Lights. Ice stepped up, nervous but ready, and when he dropped those rhymes, the crowd erupted. They went crazy for his raw energy, his rhythm, and that flavor only he could bring. The club manager didn't waste a second. He told Ice on the spot, "You're coming back."
And my hand slipped off. And I go, what the f-? I looked at it and it was blood everywhere. And you got my main artery here. It was just gushing out like some you can see out of the movies where just an artery is the main thing. It squirts out. And he got me in my ass cheek. He stabbed me across here. Got 47 stitches on my hand.
47 stitches.
From here, see it? Right here, all the way down to here. I mean, I got scars. There's the artery right there, dog. Not to show you my untanned leg. I don't wear tight shorts and that's where the knife went in right there. And I'll spare you the details of my, but
yeah, we don't need to see
there's
that.
the scar there. Scar stories, man.
Just like that, Vanilla Ice became a regular on that stage. And from there, everything blew up. Suddenly, he was opening for giants. NWA, Public Enemy, the DOC, Paula Abdul, Sinbad, and even MC Hammer. He wasn't watching the legends anymore. He was sharing the mic with them, learning from the best, earning stripes in real time. By now, Ice had carved out a serious rep around Dallas. This wasn't just some suburban kid rapping for fun. He had motocross wins under his belt, freestyle battle scars from wild house parties, and a name that held weight on Forest Lane in South Dallas. He wasn't just trying to fit into hip-hop, he was hip-hop. By this point, Vanilla Ice had become a local legend, living proof that raw hustle and grind could still win, even without the industry machine backing him. But his rising success as an independent artist didn't exactly sit right with certain powerful players. Despite turning down the biggest names in the game, Diddy, Clive Davis, and Jay-Z, he was still making noise, still pulling numbers, and still getting love from fans. And that reportedly rubbed some people the wrong way. According to whispers in the scene, some insiders saw his independence as a threat, like he was breaking the unspoken rule, you don't make it big unless the gatekeepers say so. So when Vanilla Ice kept shining without their stamp of approval, people started speculating that a message was being sent. Then came the turning point, a vicious, near-fatal attack that nearly ended his life. Ice was stabbed 5 times in a brutal assault, losing around 4 pints of blood. It was bad, real bad. He was rushed to the hospital and spent several days fighting to survive while doctors scrambled to save him. Now let's be clear. No official link was ever made between the stabbing and anyone in the music industry. But the timing, the brutality, it had people talking. Too many folks felt like this wasn't just some random street violence. The streets started buzzing with questions. Was this a warning? Was someone trying to remind him who really pulls the strings? One thing that reportedly really got under the skin of certain industry insiders, Vanilla Ice's unexpected friendship with Tupac Shakur. At a time when the industry had strict, unwritten rules, especially around race, image, and who belonged where, this bond broke all of that. Tupac, known for keeping it 100% real and never faking for anyone, saw something genuine in Vanilla Ice. While others mocked or dismissed him, Pac saw authenticity. And despite the whispers, the raised eyebrows, and the side eyes from powerful figures, their friendship kept growing. And that connection, it made some industry moguls real uncomfortable. One name that allegedly didn't like it at all was Suge Knight, and others in that powerful circle. They reportedly saw Tupac as their artist, someone they controlled, someone who moved when they said move. So when Vanilla Ice, the same white rapper they used to clown, suddenly started popping up in Pac's inner circle, that shook things up, it challenged their narrative, it chipped away at their control. For them, this wasn't just a friendship, it was another move by Vanilla Ice that defied the rules, refused the boxes, and proved again he wasn't about to play by anyone else's script.
How did black artists treat you?
Great. That's where I'm. Listen,
Like Tupac or Biggie or those guys?
Oh, good friends of mine. I was friends with Tupac way before he even blew up. When he was with
NWA?
Digital Underground. NWA. I was the opening act. Listen, I was the opening act for the opening act for the opening act for the opener for the opener when we did the Stop the Violence tour with NWA, Stetsa Sonic, EPMD, Sir Mix-a-Lot. So I was that kid out there, and they were great friends. They embraced me, man. Yeah, Tupac and I are good friends.
Yes.
Good dude.
gave me some of my greatest advice because he saw me going through hell with all the hatred and all. Stood up for me and said straight up, Ice, you're dope. He goes, I want you to know you're one of the great ones. You're dope. You're going to leave your mark, your legacy. And this is before it happened. He knew it. This guy had a crystal ball.
The fact that Tupac, one of the most respected voices in all of hip hop, showed love to Vanilla Ice was a serious problem for the people trying to paint Ice as some fake corporate creation. Pac's cosign hit different. It gave Ice a kind of street-level credibility that those powerful figures had worked hard to block. So when they saw Vanilla Ice getting close to Pac, that's when things started heating up again. Now, Vanilla Ice never said exactly what went down behind the scenes, but he's made it clear something wasn't right. And here's the wild part. That near-fatal stabbing, it wasn't even the only time someone allegedly tried to take him out. One of the most infamous run-ins in hip-hop history involved none other than Suge Knight, co-founder of Death Row Records. This whole situation blew up over claims made by Mario "Chocolate" Johnson, a songwriter who said he helped write several of Ice's tracks, including the mega hit Ice Ice Baby. At the time, Johnson was being managed by Suge Knight, and once Suge got wind of it, things escalated fast. What happened next would go down in hip-hop legend. According to Ice, Suge pulled up to his Beverly Hills hotel suite with 6 other men. It wasn't some casual conversation. This was serious pressure. Now, Ice says the whole dangling over the balcony story is a little exaggerated. But make no mistake, the threat was real. That moment became part of hip-hop folklore, and another example of just how dangerous it was for Ice to move outside the system. I had my bodyguards. They had guns, but they had more people and more guns, Vanilla Ice later recalled. That night wasn't just tense, it was full-blown intimidation. Suge Knight's crew reportedly roughed up Ice's bodyguards and entourage before cornering him into signing over 25% of his royalties. Yeah, a full quarter of his earnings gone. But here's where it gets even messier. Years later, folks close to the situation started telling a very different story about that infamous hotel encounter. See, the public version has always been about songwriting credits, with Mario "Chocolate" Johnson claiming he helped write Ice Ice Baby and deserved his cut. But according to insiders, that may have just been a front. These sources say the whole thing, Suge's arrival, the pressure, the threats, wasn't really about music rights. It was about power. Allegedly, Suge Knight didn't show up on his own. He was sent. Sent by certain music industry figures who were fed up with Vanilla Ice staying independent, winning without them, and turning down their deals. The message? Simple. Get in line or pay the price. Ice had already rejected big-name deals from the likes of Jay-Z, Diddy, and Clive Davis, and kept winning on his own. And for some industry heavyweights, that kind of freedom was seen as a straight-up insult. So according to the streets, that hotel visit wasn't about royalties. It was a warning.
That's not what he says at all.
I had my bodyguards who had guns, and they had their people which had guns, and they had us outpowered and outnumbered.
Talking publicly about it for the first time, Van Winkle describes a terrifying night in his suite at a Beverly Hills hotel when he says Suge Knight showed up with 6 other men.
Roughed one of my bodyguards up. They roughed everybody else in my whole entourage.
That whole royalty situation, it gave the industry a neat little cover, a business excuse for what was really a calculated power move. It wasn't just about the money, it was a warning, a message aimed not just at Vanilla Ice, but at every artist watching from the sidelines. The message was clear. If you step outside the system, there's a price to pay. And that would explain why, even after Ice signed over 25% of his royalties, the pressure didn't stop. The sabotage, the smear campaigns, the doors closing behind his back, it all kept happening. Because at the end of the day, this wasn't about a check. It was about control. They weren't trying to get paid. They were trying to break him and make sure no one else had the nerve to walk the same independent path he did. But here's where the twist comes in. The ultimate irony in this whole power play. While Suge Knight tried to flex his dominance that night in the hotel, the Future had other plans. Vanilla Ice walked away and flipped the script completely. He reinvented himself as a real businessman, a legit real estate mogul, quietly stacking wins, building a whole empire far away from the chaos of the music industry. No drama, just deals. Meanwhile, Suge Knight, he ended up behind bars, serving a 28-year sentence. No parole until 2034. By then, he'll be 69 years old. The enforcer tried to crush the rebel, but the rebel outlasted him. Right now, Diddy is behind bars. And if he's convicted, he could be facing life in prison on serious racketeering charges. And that's not all. Just one of those charges alone carries a minimum of 15 years. The walls are closing in fast. Meanwhile, Vanilla Ice, the one they tried to push out, the one they mocked, ended up flipping the game completely. While others chased control, he built an empire. No scandals, no handouts, just smart moves and real independence. At the end of the day, Ice's ability to pivot and build outside the system might have been the boldest move of all. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think really went down? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're into stories that expose the truth behind fame, power, and celebrity secrets, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that bell icon so you never miss a drop. New videos drop every week, and trust me, the next one's gonna be even crazier. See you in the next video.